No matter your level of success, there's always the push and assumption that you should take it to the next level. In this week's Hot Seat episode, Casey's in the position most coaches never get to. He blew past his goal of making $100,000 in his first year and has the work life balance he wants. But between the fear of his success all coming to an end at any time and not being the most structured person he feels like he should be, he's hesitating to scale. Jonathan shares Casey's struggle with structure and deep disdain for spreadsheets. He walks Casey through how to scale in spite of not being the most structured person, while also giving him permission to pause and enjoy the in between moments of success. I'll be back at the end to recommend another episode. Enjoy.
Well, Casey, you've been here before, but there's a couple new faces, which is awesome. If you can just start really, really quick with telling us who you are, who you help, and then what we're going to talk about today. And I'm looking forward to it. I saw your submission as well.
Yeah. So Casey Gilbert, founder of CG Coaching. I help men and women over 30 get unstuck and create momentum in their fitness, nutrition, and mindset.
Cool.
And I'm kind of at a great place. I mean, the first year of my business, hit all my goals that I set, and then I'm just like need some momentum moving forward and some guidance on what's the next step.
What are some of the goals that you hit? Let's get a little bit of background first.
So I've been coaching like fitness as far as like group fitness and personal training and on camera stuff for 8 years, but I'd never done online coaching, like really leaned into it. So my goal was just an arbitrary make $100,000 in the first year.
Okay, cool.
Did that.
So you did that.
Did that.
And how long have you been at that mark for?
At the
Like
rate
at
of
the, well, like you said, your goal was to make
Yeah.
$100,000. So how long has it been that you've been making that now?
Yeah,
I guess
so-
the monthly equivalent or whatever that is,
No, absolutely.
8,300. I don't know. I don't do public math. 8,000 and something a month.
No, so actually, so my average, I was just doing the average of my last 6 months is 14,200. So
Okay.
it's climbing. There was a big month in April where a ton of people signed up. That was a 26K month. I
Cool.
would say my average is 10 to 12.
And that's cash received or that's cash billed?
That is cash received.
That's cash received. Okay. So yeah, it'll start to add up as renewals
Correct.
come in and new people get added on.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're quite a bit above 100,000. I mean, as long
Right.
as the world doesn't end. As long as you keep executing, you're
Yes.
quite a bit above. So what then? Let's dig into these feelings of being stuck, because those are very real feelings no matter where we're at. You could be making $500,000, $1 million a year and still feel stuck. So let's dig into that. What makes you feel that way?
Yeah, and I understand that the 100 was an arbitrary number, and I think
Sure.
I'm all over the place with I don't, the only thing I track really is just I have an Excel spreadsheet. I put whenever people come in what their payments are. I have a monetary tracking. 4Cs I tried. It's just a lot for my mind.
Yep.
And I think and that's also an excuse, but I think the fact that I don't track much is why I feel so lack-minded in a lot of things, because it feels like the world's going to end and I'm not going to be able to make, what I'm making. But like I said, the
Interesting.
last 6 months have averaged out. I think the feeling that I feel stuck in is it's just me. I average around 30 clients at a time, which I find is a perfect spot for me to give individual attention and also not work super hard.
Okay.
Not that, let me take that back, not work super long hours on the business, because I do want to have the ability to train. I'm training for a 100-mile race. I need to do a lot of training for that, and have the time for creative endeavors, things like that.
Eat a lot of bananas.
Eat a lot of bananas, man.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
want to cramp up on that 100 miles.
you're damn right.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot to dig in here.
Yeah.
There's a lot to dig in here. I want to start with this. We'll see what direction we go to. You said the phrase "the world would end." Can you elaborate on that?
Well, there's a few parts about that. First, it's a scarcity mindset that I feel like it's not, even though I just averaged out the last 6 months and it's way more than my goal was, I still feel like every month is just like grind, 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 and it's going to be
Sure.
a $2,000 month and I'm fucked. So that's a mindset thing. It's also a tracking thing. I don't like have a firm number of what my recurring revenue is. I know it's
Mhm.
about 6 or 7, maybe 8,000, because I try to bring in one new person a week ish.
Okay.
So, and this is all just kind of how my brain has operated. I wish that I was more structured, and that might be me admitting that it's probably time to hire someone that is more structured that can do that for me. But yeah, I think the fact that I don't know the background, I don't have like someone telling me you do this, you're going to get this amount of money. It's always just like grind until I see the number at the end of the month.
Right. So yeah, it might be time for you to find somebody like a Jason who is structured. There's a reason him and I work well together because I'm you, dude. My team knows straight up that if they send me a link to a spreadsheet, I will quite literally never click on that link. Never. I won't even look at it. If they're in a meeting with me and there's a spreadsheet open, like I'll be there, but not be there during that meeting. As much as I've tried not to, and I've tried for a lot of years. So you're like me. And so, yeah, number one is it does sound like it makes sense. Like, do you have a bookkeeper and just some sort of financial management team behind
Nope,
you? Okay,
nothing
so
yet.
it sounds like step one is a bookkeeper and
Okay.
a good accountant. For no other reason than number one, they make you money. Like, especially at the point with the money that you're making right now, like a good accountant and a good bookkeeper will make you money, not cost you money. But it's also peace of mind.
Yeah.
You just know that your stuff's going to be in order. You can ask them questions at any point and they'll know the answers. Especially bookkeeping now is largely automated. Once somebody sets up the system, because your costs and your expenses are going to be pretty reliably the same, what's called SKUs, like the same products. It's just going to be more money coming in the same way. People are going to be buying the same things. Even if they're different amounts, it's still the same things. You're not budgeting inventory. You're not buying items 6 months in advance on contract, and then you're not doing any of that. So it's pretty simple. Won't cost a lot, I would guess. I mean, at most $1,000 a month, but it would give you that little bit of oversight,
Yeah.
and that helps me a lot because I still never think about it. But at least then I can ask questions to a human who do think about it and who know my numbers and speak like a human and not look at the spreadsheets. And they'll try to open up the spreadsheets and show me, and I'll pretend like I'm paying attention. Now, I mean, over the years, I've learned to read a profit and loss statement. I've learned like you start to get it because it starts becoming more and more important, and also it starts being kind of fun when you start making more money to look at these things. And it is important to gain that kind of financial awareness yourself, but you don't need to learn it from books. So, number one, just pure financial tracking.
Sure.
The idea with the 4Cs, if what you're doing right now is working great, the question that always comes, and why we developed that system with the 4Cs and the 4Cs tracking particularly, is exactly to avoid the type of head spinning in all these different directions and telling ourselves all of these horror stories of the world is ending when it's really not, when things are going well. But if you were to zoom out, you would see that, but we don't zoom out on the immediate ever, do we? We're stuck in the immediate mud. And so if one day, for whatever, or even half a day or whatever it is, it doesn't seem like things are going well, because just sometimes it doesn't. It could feel like everything is ending.
Yeah.
If you don't have those numbers to look back at and say, no, this is just the law of averages. Like, it's just kind of how it happens. So I guess I'll ask you then, are you nervous to take on more than 30 clients? You say you average 30. Are you nervous to take on more than 30?
Yes and no. I think yes, because I'm worried about watering down the value. I don't know if
Okay.
that's a true worry, but I also like kind of set an arbitrary, not an arbitrary, but I told myself like I could probably handle 30 clients. I could probably handle 35. And
30,
so I think
35 is the limit for most normal people. There's certainly
okay.
folks in OTM that do 40, even 50, but 30,
Yeah.
35 is
Okay. So I think it's more of like, yeah, I realize the work that it's taking just for client care. Everybody's happy. I feel like everybody is getting great client care and great value, getting a lot of
Mhm.
success stories, a lot of transformations, more so on the mindset and just kind of the structural side than the physical body transformation, which is kind of more what I lean into. Because so I think the nervousness is like I'm still there's no what is it like the bus thing, if I get hit by a bus the business ends.
Sure.
I feel like I'm like the driving factor because I lean heavily into mindset. I have one-on-one conversations. I help people through their difficult moments, and that's where I think it provides the most value. So I am really uncomfortable with the idea of hiring someone to do what I do. That's where I'm stuck.
Okay, what else do you do other
So I
than
mean,
those conversations?
so the conversations, the program design, I could see handing that out because my programming is very basic. Um, Most of what I do is the calls. Most of what I do is just I give everybody a monthly call. Sometimes it's more than that. I have a group call every week, an office hour on Friday for an hour, just in case they can't make the group call, weekly check-ins. It's just like the client care.
Hmm.
And now that I'm saying that, yeah, it's hard to kind of justify that being I can't have someone else do that. Maybe that's a bit of an ego thing, saying like somebody can't do what I do. But yeah, it's kind of how I feel. And and I think the biggest thing is not organizing what I do makes me uncomfortable because I know how much work it would be to organize that to be able to delegate.
Right. Right.
But that's a me problem. I don't think I mean, I think I'm happy we're in this position. I'm really happy to be uncomfortable about what to do next because like I took my first client on 10 months ago. And so like, hell yeah, feel great about it. And now I'm like, time to get uncomfortable again and push that next limit.
I mean, yes, but also I don't disagree with you, but I will challenge that because the trap that I used to fall into working in the fitness industry, I got really obsessed with, call it like hustle motivation culture. And there's a lot of really quick hit phrases that can be very motivating, but I think can also lead us down the wrong path. I don't think necessarily that getting uncomfortable is good business advice.
Fair.
I think appreciating that there are aspects of what we do that are going to very much align with with our natural attributes, with our natural energy levels, with the ways that we thrive, just the ways that we're built. Like you and I are similar, dude. Not the 100-mile runs. I think you're crazy, but you and I are similar in terms of just head in the clouds, big picture stuff. Getting in the weeds doesn't work. Like none of you would want me to be your coach. I would be a terrible coach for all of you. And that's because the day to day is what beats me down. And so one part of me could say, no, get uncomfortable, figure out how to do that. Another part of me can say, well, maybe I'm just not naturally inclined that way. So what if I actually really try to dial in to what makes me special and what makes me inherently unspecial? And separate those two. We're taught from a very young age. I'll tell you a story. When I was in high school, I was not a particularly good student. I wasn't a bad student, but I wasn't a particularly good student. And I guess, looking back now, it's because I loved education. I loved learning. I just didn't like school. School wasn't built for me, but I loved learning. And so, I did good enough, right? But surprise, surprise, I did really, really good in English. My mom was also an English teacher. I guess now I figured out that it's kind of naturally what I'm, but that was never like, I always thought I was going to be a doctor growing up because I'm Jewish from a middle to upper class family, and that's what we all think. But I did not do that well in math. And in order to get into university, of course, you have to be balanced across the board. You can't get a 55% in calculus and a 95 in English because your average will be brought down. And that one, so what my parents did was the logical thing, which was they got me a math tutor. And I had a math tutor in grade 11 and I think in grade 12 too. I had a math tutor. And that brought me up to the baseline, whatever, like 75. So it didn't destroy my average. So I still got into university. I look back at that, and I'm happy they did it for me, of course. But I look back at that and I say, that's kind of actually backwards. Because clearly calculus wasn't something, clearly mathematics wasn't something that I was going to really, really make a part of my life as an adult. Like clearly it's just not the way that my brain works is that. But English, for whatever reason, is language is whatever reason, something that I seem to naturally get. I think my parents should have gotten me an English tutor. I think my parents should have reinforced the thing that I showed this massive natural skill set in, movement towards, and said, as long as you pass, as long as you don't fail, as long as you know the basics of how numbers work, that's fine. You need to be able to communicate in that way. But this is never going to be your career, right? And so you can see where this is going with this conversation with you. What is it about you that's led to your success? Why do you think in 10 months you've been able to achieve what 98% of people who work in the fitness industry never achieve, ever? What is it?
I mean, yeah, I wish I could tell you that. I think it's a I think this specific last 10 months was a kind of a combination of the last 7 years of work that I've done to get my
Yeah.
face out there, to build an Instagram following. I worked with an on-demand fitness company similar to Peloton, so I have a lot of
Yep.
people who have done my workouts. So I had the ability to get clients on. I also I'm a really good coach. I'm really good at talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
I can help you, am I good with program design and spreadsheets? Not particularly. I'm good enough. But yeah, I'm very confident with being able to sit down with someone and in 12 weeks making them feel really confident about where they're at.
Okay. What did Chandler, I'd love to hear you share a little bit about that comment. Do you mind?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's you. It's not anything like you are the connection that you offer is your personality. Like, just even I've never met you before, but just sitting here in the Zoom at the very beginning, like the way you crack jokes and like you bring people in and your ability to do that. Like I can read that really quickly just from that. And I feel like that's why, and I mean, this is not my expertise, but I feel like that's why you're stuck is because you want to do more of that, but don't know how from a timing standpoint. But it's you doing that. And you don't want somebody else to do it because it's not you. But it's not your programming. It's not maybe not the nutrition. It's not that it's your connection and your ability to pivot of what that person needs. It's you.
Mm-hmm. I wonder, you ever been to like a really, really top sushi restaurant?
Talking to me or Chandler?
I'm talking to you, Casey, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I have actually a couple of them.
Okay. So one of the things you notice when you go to these top sushi restaurants is that the food is really simple and plain, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The cheaper the sushi restaurant that you go to, the fancier the rolls are. The less experience the sushi chef has, the more frills they need to add to the sushi. What comes out about you is that you have the experience, is that you know these things. I think I think what happens when we have less experience these days, particularly with things like video production, short-term media production, is that we act like we're the corner store sushi spot and not the $250 beautiful tasting menu, which is just a piece of fish on rice. And I think that comes off. The videos that I put up is just me talking to you. There's a reason for that. It's because I'm not talking to them. I'm not talking to an audience. I want it to feel like I'm talking to you. Like I'm talking to a person, like I'm talking to a human. But I kind of have to do that at scale. I mean, not here. Here I can talk to you. But I kind of have to do that at scale. Or else I wouldn't be able to operate a business and get workouts in and be with my kids and write books and do everything else that I want to do. There's just not enough time. It sounds like you and I are similar.
I agree with that. I kind of want that lifestyle too. And that's where I get hung up on. Do I want to scale?
That's a
I mean,
different
yeah,
question
but I don't know.
altogether.
Well, I want to scale the impact that I can do. I know that if I just brought on 20 more clients, I'd be on my computer all day, and it's not the lifestyle that I want. So that's where I'm stuck.
So that was going to be, I literally have written down here, like where I wanted to take this is 2 options: fix it, comma, or decide not to. And I don't think either option is a bad thing. I mean, you are only 10 months in. I think it is a wonderful thing to build a business with a wait list and demand. It's such, I mean, to be able to say, hey, we're full, put yourself on the wait list, the strength of the position that you come from there. And so I don't think that there's anything wrong with saying the way that my business is operating now is great. The amount of money that I'm making right now is wonderful, and it's more than enough than I need. I mean, it's more than enough than I ever thought that I would make. I don't know if that's true for you or not, but you're making a lot of money, right? And I know that I will make more. Like, you have proven to yourself time and time again that you have the ability to make money. Like, it ain't a coincidence. It ain't an accident. You have the evidence to do it. And so option number 1 is, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I don't think that there's anything wrong with perhaps being, call it like, I think there's a pre-ambition period. I think there's a ambitious period. And then I think there's a post-ambition period. That's part of all of our journey. Pre-ambition is like, actually, your time's really better spent putting in the reps right now. Learning, building the foundation, creating demand for your services, generating reputation. Ambition is like, I'm going to reap what I sow now, like I'm going to try to get as much out of this as I can. And then post ambition is kind of, okay, now I'm going to start to teach. I'm not going to make as much money as when I did the thing, but now I'm going to teach because now I feel like I'm the old man up the stone stairs that tells his young Padawans to carry buckets of water on their shoulders with a big gray beard that catches flies with chopsticks, mentoring the next generation. And then a big montage starts, and then the movie goes on. But option number 2 is to decide to do the thing. And if you decide to do the thing, then it needs to be a concerted decision to say, okay. I mean, I think either way, I think you need a bookkeeper and accountant. And I could put you in touch with somebody for that, or if you have somebody local.
No, if you got somebody, I would love that.
Yeah, that's fine. But you're in the States, right?
I am, yeah. I'm in
okay.
New York.
Yeah, that's cool. there's a company that I like that does both Canada and the States. They do cross-border stuff, so that's fine.
Sweet.
And then figuring out how to scale yourself, which is going to be finding somebody who might not be as good as you at these types of consultations, at this mindset stuff, but they're going to be pretty good, and you're going to work with them and you're going to coach them. And they'll take on a few calls at first and then kind of go on. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the types of conversations that you were otherwise having, and you're going to do them at scale. You're going to share what you would otherwise share one-on-one to somebody, but you're going to share it en masse as content on the internet. Could be long form, like what I do on my podcast. Could be short form, whatever you feel more comfortable with. What's your gut telling you right now? Obviously, you don't need to make a decision now.
No,
but
and,
what's
and
your
that's,
gut telling you?
that I think is the reason that I wouldn't say dragging my feet. It's more of just operating at a strategic pause on scaling. My wife is pregnant, 8 weeks along, so super
Hell yeah.
young. Yeah, super. So that's exciting. First kid. Fingers crossed that all goes well with that. So that's the driver of wanting to scale, to make more money support. She has a great job, but ego in me says I want to be able to give her an opportunity not to. We're going to be moving at some point. So that's there, which means if we do, I'm doing this all with I teach 12 group fitness classes a week too. So that's totally separate, but I would leave that. And in my mind is like, oh, if I can do, $14K a month and teach 12 fitness classes, if I'm getting rid of those, I should be able to scale. When in reality, maybe that's also a good time to just be a dad.
I mean, you should be able to, but like, to what end?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you're going to be able to take on 5 more clients. Then you're going to hit the exact same point that you're at right now.
Right.
We got to move on to Will, but I mean, I didn't know that. So congratulations, because it's the best journey you'll ever go on.
I haven't told anybody really.
Yeah.
But it's pertinent to this conversation. So
totally.
Don't tell anybody.
Well, when Allison was pregnant with Calvin, this is 7 years ago now, which is crazy. But when Allison was pregnant with Calvin, I took that period leading up to Calvin being born to get my professional shit in order. I took that time to outsource, document, figured out how to get stuff off my plate. And it wasn't to make more money, it was to be there more for them, to not, because I mean, up until then, I was working until 10:30, 11, 12 at night at my computer. Like, just what else are you going to do? Like, I never found Netflix interested. I still don't. So what else are you going to do at night, most nights? So I worked. But that changes because you won't want to work.
Right.
When your family and your kids are around. And so I put that stuff in place, and it was, some of it worked, some of it didn't work, of course. But what I found afterwards that was a wonderful byproduct is that I realized that children are perhaps the greatest amplifier I've ever experienced in my life. They amplify what's there, the good and the bad. And because I took that time to really work on delegation, prioritization, efficiency, to figure out what I want to be doing in my business and what I don't want to be doing in my business, that served me so much better after the kid was born. And actually, as weird as this sounds, I think becoming a father is the reason why my business is done as well as it's done. Because I've had less time. And it also amplified a lot of the stuff I was really bad at, which forced me to either stop doing it or get better real quick. Same thing with the relationship with Allison, to be honest. The stuff that wasn't that big of a deal before we had a kid became a real big deal real fast, dude. And it strengthened our relationship, forced us to deal with stuff. So, I'll make an introduction to, well, I'll send you I don't need to make an introduction, but I'll send you the link to the application for this agency for the accounting firm. But I'm excited for you, dude.
Thank you.
I'm excited for you. This is one of those glorious in between times that you're gonna look back on, like I am 7 years from now, and you're gonna say, I'm really glad. I think you're gonna say this. I'm really glad I didn't rush to the next thing. I'm really glad that I sat there in the in between for a little bit.
Yeah. So maybe it's great to hear you say that, because that's kind of what I'm leaning to. Like, maybe I'll just prioritize, make the structures and systems and tracking that I know haven't been great at, but free up a little more of my time, and then just be here as a partner.
Time and mental energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just time. I mean, you probably have enough time. It's probably not a time. It's just the head in the clouds. Like I'm only saying this because I'm like this.
Yeah.
It's not a time thing. It's just that I'm so disorganized that it feels like I'm not on top of things when really the hours are there, the minutes are there. Well, Casey, thanks for being so open, man.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
I appreciate it, John. Thank you very much. And
Really,
Will,
really
sorry for
nice of you
taking up.
also. Well, really nice of you to say that you're going to name the child after me and John Jr. if it's a boy. Really, really kind. Really,
If it's a
didn't need
girl, I
to.
could be like Jean. I could add a little something to it, and either way.
Josephine, Josephine. All right, man. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John.
Amber here. Thanks for listening in. This episode was from a group call from Jonathan's online trainer mentorship, where we host hot seats every 2 weeks. The mentorship is where we take anyone doing from $1,000 to $20,000 a month or more and help them scale up. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in learning more about, please DM the word mentor to Jonathan on Instagram at It's Coach Goodman. If you're looking for another episode to listen to right now, I'd recommend a two-parter episode, 216 and 219. Scaling coaching, the big mistakes people make. Many coaches make the mistake of waiting until they're bursting at the seams to start laying the groundwork for scaling their business. With the right systems, the right people, and the right tech, you can grow your business far bigger than you thought possible. In this episode, you'll learn 3 steps to creating your scalable business, the fear that's your ego talking, and creating your book of business. Again, that's episodes 216 and 219, Scaling Coaching, the big mistakes people make. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next week.